Welcome to another Demarcation Media action figure review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the not 1000 Toys Noble 6. This is the bootleg version that's available on AliExpress. Now there was a Master Chief that came out back when that Chief came out, the Infinite one. I never picked him up. I kind of wanted to for weathering, but I never did because I got the official version. Spending almost $200 for an action figure and then customizing it is a bad choice. So that we're going to be looking at this guy today, but this is also somewhat of a repair and customization guide because this dude is not going to be good to go right out of the box. So my box came very crushed, more crushed than hopefully anybody else's will end up, but that resulted in him having a snapped ankle right from the get-go. The seller wouldn't give me more than like a $4 refund, and on a $24 figure, that's doo-doo refund. I don't really plan on buying the official Noble 6 because he's very overpriced for what he is. I watched reviews, just not very impressed. So the plastic quality of this dude feels like that of a Jazzwares figure. This as a whole feels like a Spartan collection figure with better articulation. He's definitely a lot lighter. They removed some articulation. So for example, you can see Chief has the movable waist armor. They did away with that here. They also changed the ankle joint, which I'll talk about in a second. And they also changed the ab joint as well. Chief has a very nice matte finish. He's got metal in his feet, whereas this Noble 6 has a very plastic finish, and he does not have metal in his feet. So definitely not on par with the real one. However, I always knew that, and I kind of wanted that because, you know, the whole point is to weather it. So for articulation, the arms, I'm quite happy with the arms. We can get plenty, you know, out to the side. This wrist is just a ball joint, so you can pop things off pretty easily, especially because a lot of these points don't have a ton of friction and need to be tightened. That's the main like repair that has to happen. Double joint in here, that's kind of nice. The elbow has a rotation that's kind of gappy and ugly, but it does work, and it has a pretty nice elbow bend. The head can go up, the head can go down, the head can go all the way around, so that's nice. We got a little bit of rotation at the waist and some wobble. That's mostly there for side to side. It's a ball joint. It was sat a little bit high, so I drilled it down a little deeper. It's just a pretty much useless joint. The hips are interesting because they're like a ball joint and a rotation, so you can get way up. You can get out to the side like that. For some reason, yeah, there we go. If we tuck it under the armor, we can get out pretty far. Single, well, it is a double jointed knee, but it's actually not that great. Then the ankles. The ankles are my biggest gripe. So, well, the ankles and the toe hinge. I just glued the toe hinge. It was so freakishly loose, he couldn't stand up. The ankles, so this is the leg being straight. The ankles cannot go back all the way. You can tilt it forward, but not back, and that's literally it. You get some tilt, but that's like nothing. This is the one I had to repair. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we are going to have to take the ankles back out and find a way to give them more articulation, because otherwise they're pretty much useless. We also have loose joints here. The knees, they might need to be tightened, and also the ab needs to be tightened. Those are the big musts before we can get to weathering. You do get some accessories. So you get the AR. It's kind of soft plastic, more Jazzwares-esque, which I don't love because it comes a little bit bent. You do have a peg for putting on his back, although getting that piece off to put it on his back is a pain. It's serviceable. It's definitely going to need a little bit of work, perhaps. We get a whole ton of hands, from just normal holding hands to energy sword hands to fists, all of it. Then we also get a spanker, which is kind of cool. This little bit just comes out. It's not supposed to, but it just does. I'm probably going to have to glue that. I don't know if the original one had any extra pieces, like, you know, reloading or whatever, but this one's mostly solid, and then we got a peg there. Pretty nice accessory. I think overall it's solid. I just would like to not have to bend my weapons back into shape, but again, this is a bootleg, so I can't complain too much. So we're gonna have to get the ankles off. I don't know if there's anything else we need to take off at the moment. The ankles are just the big one. So I'm gonna take this hair dryer and I'm gonna hit this plastic until it softens up enough for me to take it out. Here we go. There we go. Both ankles are off. So I also went ahead and just popped him in half. The groin armor also kind of is a bit loose. I've glued that on a couple times, but as I pulled the torso off, it just kind of pops off again. So we're gonna have to put some glue probably on the ball joint. We're also probably gonna have to put some floor polish down in that joint. But the big issue right now is the ankles. So you can see this right here is the ankle joint. That is poorly designed because it goes in here. It never can sit flat. It always is at an angle. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is I'm going to have to drill with a Dremel a groove from the ball all the way back so that this can actually sit flush like this while popped in place. Thank the Lord for Blockies joints. This was the exact peg that I needed. I just drilled in and put a Blockies peg. So if you happen to buy one of these and you get a broken ankle, Dremel your way in, get yourself a Blockies like neck joint, and you're good to go. So what I've done here is I took the back way down, like way down. You can see the difference there. Dremeled a whole ton off. So now the peg can actually sit straight up and down in the ankle. I also drilled a little bit into the back of the foot just so that there's a little extra space for this to rest. I did test it, and it does allow the leg to be straight. However, it's still not great. This is just not a great ankle in general. I believe the other one, the real one, actually has a movable joint somewhere in this assembly. But hey, we are gonna go with what we've got. So now what I need to do is I need to do the dremeling again for this and then that. And then we're also gonna need to get those pegs to be bigger with some super glue before reassembling it, because now we do have a wider range of motion, which means this has to be tight or else the figure is going to be always falling over. So now what we need to do is the typical joint tightening technique, get some super glue, get it on the joint, get it nice and thick, and then we're gonna let it dry. Success. So his ankles are now tight, he can now stand properly, and the next step is going to be weathering him. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to use some panel line accent color. If my camera will focus on it, there we go. And I'm gonna basically just run this over the whole figure into the little cracks and crevices. It's a pretty easy way to weather. The one thing you kind of have to be careful of is it's somewhat caustic, so there is a chance that it can make pieces break. I'm not too worried about that here because it's all softer plastic for the most part, but that is a thing that can happen. So we're gonna go ahead and get this guy. Can I open it? Oh, there we go. The more I looked at the pearl visor, I really didn't like it. I know the exclusive version on the official is supposed to look great and whatever, but the bootleg, it just wasn't cutting it. So I decided to paint the visor silver, which was pretty easy. It required a very thin coat because, you know, the base is already a silver color. That worked out pretty well. I did a quick little slather of brown paint onto each of his feet to make him look like he's been running through some mud. And then on from there, it was more weathering, just adding some extra details, using the shoe polish method because it's very, very easy. You just slather it on there, and if it doesn't look right to you, you can simply wipe it off. Because it's very washable, you can just use soap and water. And then I did a little bit of silver dry brushing. Now something happened and my brush still had copper paint on it, so I ended up with this kind of coppery dry brushing, which I actually really liked and chose to just roll with. And then the final step was a matte top coat to finish it all off. And there we go. That is the final result. I have to say, I am quite pleased. It is still a bootleg. It does still have some weirdness with the joints that I'll probably have to fix over time. I don't know how well he'll age, but for now, he's actually a figure that I want to have in my collection. Like when this guy first arrived, I was quite displeased. I was expecting him to be better than he was. The loose joints, the paintwork, it just didn't look that great. And now I'm actually very happy with him. And I'm really looking forward to the rest of Noble Team now in bootleg form because I'm gonna do the same process for all of them. I may make videos, we'll see. That's a future demarcation problem. For now though, hopefully this gives you some ideas on how to make your $25 bootleg look like a $100 figure. If you don't have one of these bootlegs and you like the result here, I highly recommend you pick one up. The actual figures, like I said, at least Noble 6 has too many problems for me to justify spending so much money on him. And this guy does look pretty nice next to Chief, even though Chief is quite clean. So let me know what you think about this in the comments. Let me know if you plan on picking up one of these bootlegs. Did you already? Are you going to do these modifications? And what do you think of the 1000 Toys Noble Team as a whole? I look forward to hearing your thoughts down in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.